Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, November 21st, 2011, and I'm Darko. I am sure about that. I wasn't sure about the date, but I am sure I am Darko. This is ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. I have a poll up here. Looks like some more people came in here and voted since the last one. It says the next CEO for the corporation known as the United States of America will be the first gay, Caucasian, Hispanic, Asian man. So far, 6% saying that. The first Hispanic, Caucasian, Asian, gay woman, 9%. And I just want to put this out there. They don't have to necessarily be gay. They could just be the first minority, the first gay minority, the first gay person. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay, like Seinfeld, so I'm just putting it out there. The first transsexual hermaphrodite, so far 9% are saying that, so 9% now tied with the first Asian, Hispanic, Caucasian gay woman. Then 12% say the first cyborg, and the first alien from off-planet is 30%. And remember I was mentioning how I had a glitch in the vote. I've lost maybe about 10 to 20 votes or something like that, and now look who's ahead. None of these. So now, because of the glitch, now 11 people, 33%, are saying none of these. So you know what, guys? I hope you're right. I hope we get another old white douchebag president. I hope that's what we get, you know? And you know, whatever. Because I don't think they really represent anything. I just thought I'd put it up there and see what I get back. So people, maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what they think they're going to get. I don't know. But either way, we're going to move on here. I'm going to finish up with just a bunch of articles that I just didn't have time to get to over the past a couple sets of videos. You can go on YouTube's video description and check out all the links for the headlines. They'll be posted in there. Okay, so why living in a city makes you fat, infertile, blind, depressed, and even causes cancer. Remember, I believe it was Thomas Jefferson that was saying that once the cities in the United States become as swelled as they were and still are in London, that you know that the empire is going downhill, that you're done, basically. And so that's what we have. A growing body of research shows that babies born in cities and children who grow up in them face a battery of health problems that afflict both their physical and mental well-being. Says the problems pose a serious threat because ever-increasing numbers of us are spending our lives in cities. Well, why do you think that is? I'll take about 2 seconds right here to think about it. Okay, I got it. It's because, well, we don't have a fucking choice. Well, maybe you can go out and live in the woods, but you're going to have to worry about getting shot by the state coming after you, infringing on people's private property or state property. So you're going to have to worry about them. And then also, if you want to try to find work, what happens? Well, you're going to have to go to the city. You're going to have to go to the complex, the mega cities, where the people that actually run the cities don't actually live in the cities. No, they live outside in the rural areas where they have most of the property. They have the most property of all the people in the world, and they actually live outside those cities, that cesspool known as a city, while all the people that want to be like the real movers and shakers, the real elites, the multi-billionaires, the trillionaires, the quadrillionaires, you know what I'm talking about, the bloodlines and their upper crust management, right? Like the Soros and the Turners and all of them. They get that, the big parcels of land that they scrape off, and they say, oh, it's for the environmental, it's to save the environment, so I'm going to take 500 acres. Okay, and then so you have all the other people that want to be elites. Maybe they work at the stock exchange or something like that, and they make $500,000 a year or something like that, or maybe even $1 million a year. Well, they tend to live in downtown areas or in the suburbs, but in the downtown areas, all those rich areas, right? But they're not actually the elites. They're not the movers and shakers. They're just middle management. So my point is what? The elites don't live in the cities because they know that they are not healthy. There's just not a healthy way to live. And of course, one of the biggest reasons of living in a city is not just because of a job, because you literally have to survive, but because of what? And also because of the police state. They want to be monitored. They want to be able to monitor the slaves' activity. They want them to be very predictable. They want to be able to track their travel, track their spending habits, track what they're doing in their homes. So if they're all close, tight together, you can set up checkpoints. It's just easier. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have fences around, cattle and livestock like that. And also, what it says here, farmland boom means end of an era for many. So it's like this is the new change that we're being told about, right? And so it talks about how these farmers are going down. It says it took just 31 minutes for Donald Ellen family to end an agrarian tradition that had survived more than a half a century by auctioning off 153 acres of rich Iowa farmland. Goes in there and says rural land prices are accelerating at a fundamental rate and reshaping the farm sector, reshaping it so that what? So like I remember I talked about this before. Eventually, we're going to have these big Monsanto farms that are covered with fences and barbed wire, and they're going to be surveilled by drones from people coming out of the ground, basically out of the woods that are hiding and want to steal some GMO food, right? And that's what it's going to come to. You can have robots on the farm. Remember, I covered that too. Robots on the farm. You don't need these people anymore. Remember, I even mentioned this too about the story about just right out here, a cornfield outside my apartment. Went out to the store to get some water, come back, it's gone. They were just starting and gone, That's how fast it was. That was something that, like the Amish do when they do harvest, they all get out there. It's all work, And now you have one person driving a truck, they dump stuff in, and then you got the guy driving a combine. It's two people. That's it. I mean, those are people's livelihoods that have gone down, that are gone, never to return. Okay, I'm ready to roll here. We have Rihanna puts a 4-letter swear word on her shoes as she appears on ITV's The X Factor. Her previous performance on the UK versions of The X Factor was slammed for its raunchiness, and she was told to tone down her performance this year. Remember, she just came out with that video, S&M, and that was the video I tried putting it up there along with Britney Spears, which was Criminal, saying that she wants a criminal as a boyfriend, a loser, a psychopath, a killer as a boyfriend. And then, and I think her video actually got banned, that S&M video. So they try to push it. These are programming icons, and I use that term a lot. Basically, people will see them, young people or anyone, they let their guard down, and the programming is being embedded deep in their psychology, deep in their brain, and they don't even know it. They're going to start acting out on these inclinations or whatever, what have you, and they're not even going to know the true source of it. That's why they call it imprinting. It's imprinting on your natural brain waves. So you think it's coming from you, but it's not. That's what mind control is. And of course, what is the ultimate goal? Well, it's to increase promiscuity. It's to decrease bonds and decrease real relationships and a true family structure. And it says here, Jennifer Lopez under fire for raunchy, non-commercial, free AMA performance. And then we have Twilight Breaking Dawn rises to the top of U.S. box office. Now, what is this imprinting? And there's a lot of people. There's family members of mine, too, that are into Madonna, a big programming icon who replaced Marilyn Monroe in Twilight, right? It's in the Harry Potter series. Vampire, woman bites Florida man asleep in wheelchair. She looks like a vampire, and she thought she was a vampire. And that's a big trend now. Fake doctors inject cement in woman's rear. That's right. A woman who wanted to do work at a nightclub who started searching for someone who could perform plastic surgery at a cheap price to give her a more curvaceous body. And the whole thing about this is what? I mean, honestly, if you want to go and put concrete in your ass, then go ahead. You know what I'm saying? And but the thing is that the biggest thing that they try to talk about in here is what? Oh, he was practicing without a license. See, had he had a license, maybe he could have done that. Oh, yeah, but if you have a license, that means you're responsible. It means you are cleared. Yeah, right. It means you have limited liability. It says here, Lauren Edgar, 28, died after liposuction surgery. Inquest told. So she died after liposuction, all to look good, right? Be like the programming icons. It says here, mother left in a coma after using hair dye. Doctors probe chemical in L'Oreal kit as she fights for her life. Doctors warn that even if she survives, she will almost certainly be permanently brain damaged. That's right. Asians no longer go under the knife to look white, so they want to look white too, just like our friends in India. Skin whitening advertisements ignite a race row in India. That's right. Um, it says here the woman with the paler skin gets the man. This is how it's been in a lot of places. It says here bird flu research rattles biostorm field, saying scientists and security specialists are in the midst of a fierce debate over recent experiments on a strain of bird flu virus that made it more contagious. Sounds like the bubonic plague, where the scientist who was experimenting on it actually died. This is how it all starts. So in an attempt to stay ahead of the H5N1, which was probably originally released out of a laboratory by scientists. Scientists have been tweaking its genes in the lab to learn more about how this virus works. Oh, accident! Ooh, it accidentally got released from the lab. You like that, guys? Says here it's just a bad idea for scientists to turn a lethal virus into a lethal and highly contagious virus. That's called a bioweapon, guys. It's going to be used on us eventually. So the plebes, the useless eaters, the people that have no work will never find work, and we're never really supposed to be able to find work. And it is a second bad idea for them to publish how they did it so others can copy it. Well, that's probably why they did it, so they don't have to take responsibility for it. Syphilis cases climbed 36% in the U.S., prompting call for more frequent testing starting at age 1. I'm just joking, but that's probably how it'll be. HIV numbers hit new highs as AIDS drugs save lives. So here we go. Again, another released bioweapon to kill the African people. And it says more people than ever are living with the AIDS virus, but this is largely due to access to drugs that keep HIV patients alive and well for many years, paying that money to that pharma complex, the United Nations AIDS program said. And the people who promote or create and promote these drugs, I guess you can call them, I call them drugs, they call them pharmaceutical prescriptions. It says here Pfizer near settlement on bribery. They will pay more than $60 million to resolve a U.S. government probes into whether the drug maker paid bribes. So see, this is what the government is. It's a big mafia, and they're doing a shakedown because well, the government has to, because the government this corporation offloads its liability onto the government, the bigger corporation, and so now the big corporation, the government, the big mafia has to do a little shakedown so that they can keep their legitimacy, right? It says here depopulation. Gates pushes nanoparticle vaccine giant leap against mankind, depopulating on contact to save lives. A possible giant leap against mankind with nanoparticle vaccine push by Bill Gates. Go check it out. Polio in Nigeria shows big increase, 4-fold increase in polio has been reported in Nigeria. So they need to get in there and start vaccinating. But perspectives on polio immunization campaigns in Nigeria. In the last 10 years, there have been extensive efforts as part of the international community to eradicate polio in West Africa and in developing nations in Nigeria. So they've already been doing it. That's probably why they have it. Pakistan crosses last year's polio count. So that's right. They went past last year's count in Pakistan for polio. Look at this. What happened in 2010? Pakistan flooding that was probably caused by what? Weather modification brings polio fears. So if there's fears of polio, not actual polio, we better have a polio eradication staff mobilized to support those fears. But what's the real fear? The real fear are the mothers thinking that their kids are going to be sterilized. Pakistan Muslim scholars, to quote experts, fight to dispel polio vaccination myths. So it goes in there, it says, it's due to security concerns. One of the reasons for a lack of immunization is reluctance from parents stemming from rumors that polio drops cause impotency and infertility. All right, so you ready for this? Vaccine-derived polio viruses and the endgame strategy for global polio eradication. It goes in there and says that the OPV used for more than 4 decades to interrupt polio virus transmissions and the vaccine of choice for developing countries is genetically unstable. It says 2 adverse effects have been identified. More recently, long-term excretion of highly evolved vaccine-derived polio viruses, vaccine-derived in persons with basically primary immunodeficiencies, a bad immune system, and polio outbreaks associated with circulating VDPVs in areas with low rates of OPV coverage. So basically those who haven't been vaccinated before. But look at it, it's talking about rare cases of vaccine-associated paralytic poliomyelitis. And they're talking about the worst stuff, the bad stuff that they're talking about in Pakistan and India. Military dropping anti-malaria drug. Why? Because it caused psychiatric and physical side effects. We have the disappearing needle vaccine for children and the new magic drug Draco to cure all viruses. Births at 11-year low. This is GGN. Thank you.